was gonna use, but I'll split them up.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Is there anything we need to discuss beforehand?
I mean, I kind of I skipped through the Jin and Sun episode briefly the other day because it had been a while since I saw it too. Um,
You didn't really rewatch that one, is that what you're saying?
no, I rewatched that one when we were going to record it a couple weeks ago.
Okay. And then re-skimmed through it again.
Yeah,
I didn't re-skim through that one.
yeah. Just I was looking at my notes and some of it's such shorthand. I was like, what the fuck does this mean? Um, okay, so I'll give you an example, and when we get to it, we'll talk about it more. I wrote Jack and Kate fucking.
That's great.
And I was like, what am I referring to?
That's so amazing. I mean, Kate treats Jack like she's given him a lot of hand jobs in the jungle at this point.
Right, and when we get to the episode, we can talk about that. But first, as with anything, do you have a shot?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, sweet. I have, and I don't remember if I had this last time. It is chocolate mint whiskey.
Chocolate mint whiskey. That's incredible.
So it's this company called Ballatin, and unlike our usual stuff, it's actually not that cheap. It's the same price as the peanut butter one.
Oh, I mean, that was like a $35 bottle.
Right. So, but chocolate mint whiskey just sounded like so ridiculous to me. So I was like, I gotta get it. One, real quick, I don't think it's as good as the peanut butter whiskey because I think the peanut butter whiskey still tastes like whiskey.
Yeah.
This is dangerous in that this tastes like a chocolate mint milkshake.
Oh my god.
And it's still 35%.
Oh my god.
It looks like and it doesn't have that horrible syrupy flavor that we're so used to because of our nature.
It's mind baffling that all of the 35% things can taste so smoother. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Is that's because there's more alcohol, less sugar, I guess?
Well, yeah, exactly. But 20% makes sense. All the liquids that are 20%, I'm like, okay, I can totally get on board mentally.
Right.
That I'm not going to taste any alcohol with this liqueur. But going from 35 to 40, even there, sometimes still blows my mind.
Right. All right, let's do this. What do you got?
I just have vodka.
Oh, nice. What is that? Just plain vodka?
Uh-huh.
All right, sweet.
In my Arizona shot glass.
Rico's last night in the States. Yep. It tastes like a grasshopper, maybe.
Yeah, that's jet fuel.
That's just like the slightest bit of burn there, man. But wow, that's dangerous. Ooh, all right. What's up, everybody? This is Ben's from www.dropthedice.com. What is that?
Sorry, you can restart. I'll wait, hold on before you do your intro. I do have this awesome beer from an East Coast brewery called By Felicia. It's a passion fruit IPA.
Nice.
They do all of their beers as like memes. They have one that's called New Phone Who Dis, and
that's pretty sick.
Yeah, they're all really good too.
That's incredibly charming.
That makes up for my plain vodka.
It totally does. What's up, everybody? This is Benz from www.dropthedice.com, and with me today is my trusty cohort and the only man who I'd ever want to be stranded on a desert island with, Mr. Rico Wasman. And because I said that, you might realize that today we're going to be talking about, once again, Lost. Okay, so real quick, last time, I don't remember, I think this is the first time we've recorded since then, but at least about Lost. iTunes said no to the name. Apparently there's like 6 other podcasts and we have to go back. I think we did talk about this a little bit, so tentatively wanted to call us the Dice Station. Actually, I wrote something, but I'm going to wait for Alfie to come on the podcast to say it to you guys as our new intro.
Okay, I'm excited.
I think it'll be one of those things where I'll actually read it. I want to try and get it so that it sounds like a VHS tape.
Okay.
Where you get that like and then I start speaking like on the show, you know, it's like, this is the Swan Station. Anyways, I think I've been looking it up. I think I can get it done on Audacity, but I'll wait for Alfie to get here He unfortunately couldn't make it today, although he's super jelly that we're doing this podcast without him. So the one thing I want to talk about, though, real quick, before we get into the crux of the episode, which today is going to be the House of Rising Sun, which is the first flashback we get for Sun and Jin, is this weekend was kind of the apocalypse for nerddom.
Yeah, it's great. We're over here podcasting about Lost. This shit's been up for 10 years.
Yeah, and then the culmination of two huge pop culture phenomenons kind of happened today, or this weekend. Did you enjoy any of them?
I saw Endgame and
Oh, you did? Okay. So, yeah, like 30 seconds on Endgame. What do you think?
Man, it lives up to its grand expectations.
I think that's very apt. I think that so my hot take, because I've seen both, is that I can't believe Endgame sticks to landing better than Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it does it with tact. When did you see Endgame?
I saw it on Saturday.
Okay, nice.
So impressive is when Avengers came out, the first Avengers, it was a culmination of a bunch of origin story movies. And you're, wow, this is really impressive that they pulled it off. And Avengers is the same thing to Endgame that all the origin movies were to Avengers, but with so much more complexity. And so it makes you realize that Avengers was just this stepping stone. And in 2008, they already had a map to get to that place, and it just is blowing my mind to think about how well executed all of that came together.
Oh yeah, and it's not like, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say it's the best movie ever. There's logic flaws that I think you kind of just have to get over.
Yeah.
But it's done with such reverence for fans without feeling like fan service, really.
Mm-hmm.
Even the stuff that like was real cool, it made so much sense for the plot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's not like it was superfluous or that it needed to be there. Again, things that I can't say for Game of Thrones lately.
So I haven't seen that, but yeah, it's kind of why I jumped ship. But
yeah, and me and Alfie should be recapping this episode because we got some stuff to say. A lot of people loved it, dude. This thing is getting rave reviews all over the social media, but then at the same time, I think a lot of loyalists. I haven't read the books. I'm just going off of the show. Yeah. A lot of loyalists like really weren't happy with it, so it's crazy to see that. Like, I've got friends on Facebook who are like, the best episode of TV they've ever seen. You know, like tears from beginning to end. I'm like, I can't. I want to go there with these people, but I can't. And I'll talk about that on a later podcast. But what I wanted to bring up, actually, you know, real quick about Endgame, just because I like talking about the boy. RC's favorite movie is Black Panther, and he walked out. This is the first time he walked out of the theater, even Last Jedi, which he loves, and even Infinity War, which he also loves. He walked out of Endgame going like, "Whoa, I think that actually might have been better than Black Panther."
Yeah,
there's just so many moments where the whole theater either cheered and I liked what they did. They did this thing where they cut out the score a couple times.
Yeah. And
just let the characters do stuff. And you could hear everyone crying.
Oh man.
There's just some beats in there that are horrible.
There was there was a part where, you know, it's supposed to be sad, and I have to remember and tell myself that kids were watching Iron Man when they were 6, 7, and 8.
Okay.
Really young age, and now they're still young, 16, 17, 18, you know.
Yeah.
This thing is wrapping up. But there was a girl in hysterical sobs, and she wasn't being ironic. Like, hysterical sobs.
So that's the thing too. I remember hearing that too and being like, bro, this is sad, but man.
Seriously. And so I hope that that's the situation. She was 6 when she saw it.
Yeah.
But it actually kind of broke the theater because it was so ridiculous how hysterical she was that then everyone started laughing. And
Thor has a scene that completely caught me off guard.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was coming.
I know the one you're talking about. That one was really good.
And I follow websites, and there were cameos in this thing that I didn't see coming at all.
Yeah.
They
did a good job. I think it.
Quick spoilers, which is what we do here, anyways. Dude, love to see. So happy to see Hiddleston at least have a couple of new scenes as Loki.
Yeah, my favorite cameo was they called Natalie Portman. We're like, "Hey, come back! We got 3 seconds for you."
Right? Because a lot of it was just old footage, kind of rehashed.
Yeah, I suspect that's what that was, but still.
No, I think she did. I think she did come back
That's new.
for that. Yeah, because the Hiddleston stuff, a lot of that stuff was there, but then like walking, like his when he gets the thing and like jumps backwards.
Mhm.
I mean, that's all new. One of my favorite theories is that his TV show that is going to be on the Disney show is going to be about that version of Loki and where he went.
I'm all for it. That sounds
Because a lot of people said, "Oh, it'll be like I mean, he's been around forever. He's plenty of stories. I would love to see that Loki and see what he's going to do to fuck up the time stream."
Well, think about it. So, in that timeline, Hydra is still around, and they think Captain America is Hydra, but the Captain America that's there doesn't know that they think that he's Hydra.
Right, and then which
There's
actually fits
theory.
perfect because that was just a storyline in the comics.
Oh, I didn't know that. See,
Yeah,
that's excellent.
I even dug, and it was stupid, but it was such an easy joke. But Mark Ruffalo like pretending to Hulk out when he was in New York,
Smashing some things around.
but it's like all of us have done that. Like,
Yeah.
anyways, so I want to talk about
actually
Game of Thrones.
The thing I'm most disappointed with is I wish they had given his storyline a little bit more care, because it's really interesting what he went through in like the last 3 movies,
Oh yeah,
and then they were like, actually, the Hulk and Banner, they're cool now. But
agreed. They did kind of just gloss over that, but I think you're bound to have that in these kind of big movies. Nice. All right, so I want to talk quickly about Game of Thrones, kind of from a top level perspective. So one thing that happened in this episode is that again, it culminated 8 seasons of theories and worries and fear of the White Walkers.
You know that I haven't seen this, right?
Yeah, well, fuck you guys all if you worried about spoilers, because it's Game of Thrones, and you've had years to catch up. You're not going to catch up.
I am going to catch up.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I'm not going to say what happens. I'm just gonna. I want to talk about it in relate. It makes sense for what we're talking about. I want to talk about it in relationship to Lost. I think, and because I was thinking about this all day and talking to other people who loved it and people who didn't like it, and my biggest problem is with it so far is that to me and I feel like the show has done this is that they how far have you gotten in the show? You're on like you're the 4th or 5th season, right?
Yeah, I think I'm on the 5th season.
You've seen the Red Viper, right? In the mountain where they're fighting for Tyrion.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the end of the 4th season. I think that's where I stopped.
Okay, cool. And not that that's like important to this, but that's kind of a good time frame of where I can know where you're at. The White Walkers have kind of always been there in the background as this dread demon, and literally the first shot of the show, the first scene of the show is the White Walkers attacking some Rangers.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think you are allowed to do that if that's not going to be important somehow. A show this complex, this long, I think that's narratively sloppy if you're going to set that up and then not pay that off somehow.
You're comparing that to how Lost starts, where everything does matter to the end.
Yes, exactly. And I Lost, and then Lost goes so. And I would argue that the show continues to remind you that the White Walkers are still there, no matter all this shit's going on in King's Landing, all these political machinations. There's always a couple of scenes, episodes, moments each season that remind you, hey, that army of the dead is still over there, and we don't know what they're going to do, but they can kill us all. Over and over again. Agreed?
Is the show over?
No. There's 3 episodes left, 4 episodes left.
Is there any way that what you're telling me still couldn't come to fruition?
So then that's my one caveat is that I don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 episodes. Yeah. It's a story. These people can do any million number of things, right?
Of course.
And we don't necessarily know the laws, which is one of my problems, is we don't know the laws of the White Walkers.
Like the laws of Lost.
Well, I did by the end.
All right. Well, okay, that's fair. 3 episodes away should be Second question: do you think that it matters at all that they may have not known where the show was going to end at the beginning?
Sure, but then that goes to my argument that fuck you, Lost is the greatest show of all time.
Okay, so you're saying that wouldn't be a relevant excuse?
No. That's like if you go to court and didn't know that what you did was a crime, like ignorance is never an excuse.
But what if they turn something into a crime after the fact?
Sure. So, but my point being is that they've continuously set this up, so they've known what that thing was, right?
Yeah.
And in Lost, I don't, as much as you would, and this is what I thought, is that I think people could argue that Lost is something similar where they don't pay off at the end.
So, Snoke
right? Like you've heard that, right? Like where Lost doesn't, okay, but I don't think that Lost ever promised things that it doesn't pay off either.
Yeah.
I think that as we're watching it now, so many of these episodes open up with eyes.
Sure.
The first shot is eyes, letting us know that we're from this point of view of this character, kind of, more or less. Also letting us know that
winter is coming.
Yeah, well, that not only that you're this point of view of this character, we're gonna follow this character. We're not gonna follow that mystery or that mystery or that mystery. I would also argue that as we get into later seasons where the mysteries really start coming quickly and they start piling up, and we're like, well, what the fuck is that? And why are those feet have 3 legs or three toes? And you know why? What are these wires? That Lost either purposefully or just by happenstance doesn't focus on them all that much, at least from episode to episode, in the same way that Game of Thrones would remind you that the White Walkers were there. Lost would, do it, like pop up a mystery, and they would kind of come back to it if the plot serviced it. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, again, I'm hoping that's the case as we go through these things. And I think that's really interesting that we're in the same situation with Game of Thrones that I think we were with Lost, where I think you have a decent amount of people, probably a minority, where in Lost I think the majority didn't like it. I think the minority of people aren't happy with where the state of the show is going to go now, because it literally, the payoff for 8 years was so minimal. Huh. And like I've read a couple things, and I still haven't really made my decision. I'm kind of going back and forth on it. Like I said, I'm excited to talk to Alfie about it, kind of dived a little bit deeper on it. But I think it's interesting that they've definitely promised us something, and I don't know if they've delivered on that.
I think you got to give it, I mean, at the very least, let the show finish before you make the final judgment on it.
That's fair enough. But I think it's just interesting just to be where we're at right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which, like, I mean, and like, again, those of you out here who are listening, as an episode, and I said this at work and they laughed at me, in a vacuum, the episode was amazing. Mm-hmm. As a standalone piece of media, it was frenetic and exciting and, cool. Like, it was well done. I think as a story, it really falters.
Well, I'm glad we waited 15 years to do our podcast about Lost.
Right?
You might be the first person to come to say that Lost is better than Game of Thrones.
I might be,
yeah.
But I'm putting that in the sand right now. I definitely think Lost is better than Game of Thrones. I've never thought Game of Thrones was on this high pedestal. I love the card game a lot, and that's not based on the show.
Right.
The show's good, and this. And I don't know. We'll see how the season ends. I think the last couple episodes will kind of decide where it's at. In my head, what's left to tell, given where everyone's at, is not necessarily the story I want. Which again could be is my bad. That's me. But I also don't think it's a story that they foreshadowed.
Yeah, saying that they were going to tell.
Yeah. So, but that's just my thoughts on how different shows kind of deal with the same kind of problem I mean, honestly, it's just, but then again, who cares? Like, these guys wrote the story. It's their story.
I don't know if that's necessarily fair, but okay.
Well, like, it's like, and that's the weird thing, right? Like
they can tell their story, but you can say that one was done with more craftsmanship.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's what we're here for, right? We're here to discuss it and analyze it. Like, it's still their story to tell. So who am I to say if they're wrong or not?
Right.
But with that, let's take a quick break, and we're going to dive into the House of Rising Sun and hopefully brush up on our Korean. All right. I'm going to grab beers real quick. Hold on. Still doing it for me.
Always, man.
Oh, come on. All right, you ready? This is a nice hoodie.
It's still cold. It's still cold out here, man.
Yeah? I missed that. It's like 100 today, maybe. Wait, no, today it rained. Yesterday it was like 100.
Wow.
Some bullshit.
I don't know, man. It's just like May, and it's still freezing.
I'm fine with that.
Ugh.
I mean, I'm wearing shorts right now. That is a nice hoodie, though.
Thank you.
Yeah. You got those thick ropes and kind of like a cowl neck.
Uh-huh.
It's very solid. You look so East Coast.
Very European, you know.
Oh,
Just keeping it fab.
nice. What's the weather like in Nashville?
Hot, humid, and sticky in the winter, and not too bad in the. Sorry, other way around. Hot, humid, and sticky in the summer, and fine in the winter.
Is it like here where it's like 60 degrees is pretty cold?
Maybe a little bit colder.
Okay, but it's not like it doesn't hit like 115 though in the summer, right?
No.
It's like that 95 with like 200% humidity though.
Exactly. It's pretty gross.
I remember those days in New York, man. I'd take that fucking any day over this bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I would just I would bring an extra pair of clothes with me in my bag to work if I needed it. Or there were days where I just buy another shirt, you know?
That's too funny.
I remember one day I went to lunch at work and it started pouring. And it's New York, right? So I walked like a half a mile to this place to get a slice of pizza, which was normal, right?
Right.
But a half a mile walk back, dude, I was soaking walking back into the store. So I just bought some more clothes.
Was this in the summer and it was also hot, or?
You know what? It was close to the summer because it was that hot rain bullshit.
Yeah. That's always fun.
All right. Let's get back. All right. Thank you, Tommy Irvine. We are back, and we're going to talk about the House of Rising Sun. So this is the first episode that flashes back to Jin and Sun. The episode kind of opens up, and Jack's found water, and he's trying to convince people to go to the waterfall to kind of stay there. And then Jin attacks Michael kind of out of nowhere, and we really don't have any idea what's going on. I mentioned earlier, this is another one that opens up with eyes. I think there's Sun's eyes. She's not missing. She doesn't have a garden yet, but she's doing something, right?
I don't remember.
And she's either doing something with plants, but it opens up with Sun again, and she's kind of like looks over and sees Jin attack Michael, and she's all scared, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we see right in the beginning, man, we see Jin fishing with his hands still. After we've seen a couple of episodes of multiple people trying to fish. I mean, we saw Charlie and Hurley try to fish. I think we've seen Michael try to fish, and then Jin is out there just literally grabbing fish with his hands. Which is, of course, like, you know, it's a cool character moment. Like we learn. I don't know about this episode. Her dad might call him the fisher boy, but we learn later that his dad's a fisherman.
Yep.
There's this interesting moment where people are talking all around Sun, and the way the camera moves, you can kind of tell that Sun's listening to their talks. Like she's kind of listening to what they're saying.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. It's a really interesting way to show it, to foreshadow later on in the episode that we're going to find out that she's been learning English and that she actually knows English. This is that moment where I wrote down Jack and Kate fucking, and I realized what it was is Jack and Kate are flirting, and Kate's asking Jack about his tattoos, and Charlie comes walking up and says something like, "If you two are done verbally copulating, then we could use some more water." And then Kate gets up all smiling and says, like, "Hey, Charlie, guess what? Ask Jack about his tattoos." And then Charlie says something along the lines of like, "Oh, you guys have an inside joke. Oh, that's fucking cute." And I love it. I love it. It's the first, like, it's one of those first moments of Jack and Kate really, like, just being so upfront about how much they're into each other.
Sure.
You know, like, up to now, like, they kind of danced around it. You have Sawyer kind of flirting with her. But here, like, it was clear, like, the two are into each other, at least somewhat.
Oh, yeah.
And
I spend most of their time being coy to everybody, but that.
Yeah. And I want to say, like, we're going to have to wait a couple years for any sort of culmination on Jack, Kate, and Sawyer. I'm pretty sure at least they might kiss at one point, but I don't know. I think it's a while that we wait.
That'll do it for me, man. I need the kiss to happen.
All right, so
tension is already cuttable with a knife.
Nice. So the next thing we see is we start the flashback, and Jin is a waiter at this party, and we find out that Sun is this like rich daughter, like this heiress to this business, which we'll later find out may not be the most on the level business.
Untoward, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit weird to me because she like definitely profits from it.
Oh yeah.
Like she's at this fancy party, wearing really fancy stuff, and yet she seems to be, to resent her dad for how he gets his money. So, that's a pretty classic.
I think throughout this episode she does this. I think Jin calls her out on it at some point of like. She tries to pretend like she doesn't know where her dad gets his money. Mm-hmm. And at one point we'll get to later, Jin kind of says like, "I was doing jobs for your dad. You know what he does."
Right.
Which I think is pretty cool. I like that. I think that in this kind of in the area of Lost, that kind of makes this pretty interesting. I think it makes her a more interesting character than we had seen before. Where she's up until now, she's kind of just been this nice Korean lady who is very submissive to her husband, to which we immediately find out that she's actually of a much higher social class than him.
Yeah, which I still feel a little confused, or like maybe all of my questions haven't been answered because the power dynamic has certainly shifted, and I get that she felt trapped and she's trying to get away, but she's so subservient to him, and I don't know if I saw that in the flashback.
So, okay, I think that's a great point. I wrote that down here too, that I don't think that this is I think this is a moment where the show, it doesn't explain it yet. I think we get more flashbacks that show this change a little bit better.
Yeah.
But right now, it doesn't really make sense as to why on the island she's so subservient to him when in real life she had no problem kind of talking up. Like speaking back to him and kind of speaking to him on the same level, at least. Right. Like you said, we find out that she feels trapped, but in no way did I feel like this specific episode tell me that she felt trapped, other than she wasn't happy with him coming home with blood all the time.
Right, but then there's those moments where he's like, "Button your very topmost button," and she's like,
yeah.
"Okay."
Yeah, so it's a weird. I don't know how that dynamic changed. I mean, even. As we get to the end of the episode, you have that moment where she makes her decision to stay and get on the plane, and it's almost like, well, if I stay, I'm just going to go ahead and be like a silly little girl, which I think is unlike her. But I guess maybe as we get to the end of this, she does kind of develop her confidence back a little bit, but still, like, she's definitely in that very, very traditional woman role of listening to the man. Which is a little awkward. I know going later on we find out that there's a lot more to her than that, and Jin starts to ask her for help, especially once her English becomes more prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
So after Jin attacks Michael, Sawyer and Saeed are the ones that have to subdue Jin. And this is a pretty cool scene, and also one in which Sawyer and Saeed work together, which I really liked.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
I wrote that Jack, Locke, and Kate and Charlie they go look for water. And this is where they first find Adam and Eve.
Yeah, I have questions. What does Adam and Eve mean?
Well, it's those two bodies.
Yeah.
And they called them Adam. Well, and Locke just is it Locke who said Adam and Eve?
I don't remember.
It was I think is it
that sounds like a Locke thing to say.
Right, and I think Jack says, "Oh God, like the decomposition of these bodies shows that they're like this much old." Sure. So it's just like it's the first man and woman that they found on the island, and they look like they were a couple, at least the way that they were buried. And so Locke, just says like, "Oh, maybe these are the ultimate forerunners." I mean, what is Adam and Eve other than that, right?
I think that they were mixed race. Does that matter?
You think that they were mixed race?
Yeah, I think like one was white, one was black.
No, one had a black backgammon piece on them, and the other one had a white backgammon piece on them.
Oh, yep. The symbolism now I understand. The backgammon. It had to have been Locke who said that.
Right? So I know who these people are.
Oh, okay. That's exciting that you actually find out.
But I'm not going to tell you just yet. Because this one's a pretty cool reveal. And it does not like it's going to matter to this episode yet either.
Sure.
But it's pretty interesting. I mean, clearly you can start making your. I love that we're starting to pull the backgammon theory through here. I love that we have this black and white. You can kind of infer that one of these people was good and one of them was evil, or at least whoever put those pieces there thought that. Which I think is super interesting. Again, just setting up this dichotomy, this power struggle that's going to happen throughout the whole series.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's I think that's a really cool moment, and yeah, like we'll come back to that at some point.
So if it's a man and a woman, like a couple, do we have any equivalents on the island? Because I know that Jack and Locke is the obvious.
Right, but it could be Jack and Kate.
That's what I'm trying to say. Do you think Jack and Kate are good and evil?
I don't know.
Oh no.
It's hard. It's hard now. At the time when they found the bodies. Yeah, so I would say, God, how far did I don't even know how to dance around this.
Okay.
I think at the time when I was trying to figure out who those bodies were, I thought couples from the island would be a good choice.
Okay.
Or at least possibilities.
Yeah, I think that's where my head went as well.
Which I mean, I love time travel, man. Okay. So, we have one of your favorite things here. Locke is with Charlie. I think they're on their way back, and I think Charlie's kind of like freaking out. Charlie's starting to go through withdrawals here. And Locke says something to him, and Charlie thinks that he's gonna like identify his addiction right now. Which I don't remember if he does or not. But Locke instead says, "You're in Drive Shaft."
Yeah. And
he says something, and he tells him like, "You played bass," and then he even says something like, "I thought this was actually a much better album than this." And it's this really cool moment where Locke absolutely knows who Drive Shaft is.
Well, the guitar comes to play in this one, right? I think Locke takes him to his guitar.
Right, you have that moment where he's. I think okay, so I wrote it down. I think this is this part, right? This island might give you what you're looking for, but you have to give it something. And this is Charlie gives Locke the drugs.
Yep.
And then he looks up and sees the guitar, and he's like, "You can." And when Locke asks him about the guitar, he says something like, "Oh, it's been like 4 days, like 3 hours and 52 minutes, like exactly down to the minute." Mm-hmm. And you see Charlie so happy to get the guitar, and then At the end of
look
the
on
scene,
Charlie's face says, "Damn it, I could have had my drugs and the
and
guitar."
my guitar. I know. I wrote down that Sun's trying to leave Jin by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
And we learn that Sun speaks English. And she does that to try and save Jin because people are worried about him. I wrote I wrote this thing on about Michael because I thought it was really good, and it's about moving inland. And Michael says, "I barely know my son, and now I got to be his dad. Why does time matter on a damn island?" Which is a very telling line.
That is a very telling line.
Which is super cool. And one of those things that at this moment when I watched it in what is it, 2004, I think, that line means so much more now than it did then.
Yeah.
I love that. At the end of the scene, we have another kind of montage thing with everybody as we have the people moving to the island, moving to the waterfalls, and we have the rest of the people kind of staying on the island. Or at least on the beach. You start to see this kind of rift because, again, Jack wants everybody to move to these waterfalls because there's water and there's protection from the sun. Kate and Saeed and Sawyer really think that they need to stay on the beach because that's going to be the best chance for them to get rescued.
Yeah.
I like this. It's hard to create conflict on an island, so I like that they're doing that constantly. Already here in episode, I think 4 or 5, and you're keeping this interesting.
Yeah. I was gonna say, it always surprises me whenever they actually reference how many days they've been on the island.
Right.
It's easy to forget, and then they're like, "Well, we've only been here 10 days, so it's ridiculous to leave the beach." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's right." But then right before that, I was like, "You've been on the beach forever. You must be a lobster."
I want to say in the beginning, each episode was supposed to be 1 day.
Okay.
I think that was a thing. I got to look that up.
We're only on episode like 6 or 7 or 8 or something, and I think that by the time they move into the cave, because I just heard it in the episode we watched, it was on day 12 they moved into the cave.
That's right, because Jack says something like, "We've been here 10 days.
Yeah.
No one's coming.
No one's coming.
So if you're not going to help us get water, then help somewhere else."
But then Kate is like, "We've been here 10 days. People are coming."
Right. Yeah.
I get it. I would have moved to the cave too. They've got a partial backgammon set in there.
Right. At least 2 pieces already. They're almost there. I like that. I don't know what the word for it. I don't remember all this stuff with these antennas that Saeed has going on in these couple episodes.
Oh, really?
I totally don't remember this stuff where he's like, is it the next one where he's shooting off all? Yeah, it's the next one where he's shooting off all these bottle rockets, trying to like triangulate this.
I can't wait to talk about that.
Really? Okay, cool. But I still don't remember all that stuff. I don't remember him like hiding it and him like kind of just there tinkering around. These early episodes do so much of setting up all these relationships and all these characters and kind of like introducing you and reintroducing you and showing. They do a great job of showing you just how complex everyone is. No one here is the hero as much as there are archetypes, but they're like, they're damaged. All of these archetypes are damaged. Like you almost have multiple heroes, right? You have Boone who's trying so hard to be that.
Boone is not a hero.
He wants to be so badly.
I mean, in the next episode, I'm excited to talk about it. He has an important job, and then he immediately farms it out to Shannon.
But doesn't he do that so that he can go help Jack?
Yeah. So what I would say is that Boone is lovable and he's got his heart in the right place and he tries, but I would never put him in the class of a hero.
Okay, well, let's talk about archetypes for a second. Do you think that Jack is the only hero on the island?
No. Who else do I think are heroes? I think Locke is. I think Saeed is.
I think Sawyer becomes the reluctant hero.
Okay.
I think even now he kind of is.
No, right now he is not. Right now he is supporting cast.
Is that just me knowing too much of the future?
Yeah, he's a sidekick. Same thing with Kate. Kate is very much a sidekick. She doesn't want the spotlight. She doesn't want to be the hero, but she does like to be heroic.
Okay.
That's my
Um,
take on it. Like Michael is an emerging hero, and he was reluctant at first, but especially in the next episode, he's kind of like saying, "Hey, I'm good at this thing, and I'm gonna really help him take a lead here."
I
He's
think.
doing what Jack does from like a medical perspective. You know,
Oh
he's
yeah, he does. That he has that. Really, that is a really cool moment. I,
yeah.
I would say watching it again, even Claire, although she hasn't been seen for I think this episode or next episode, she doesn't have much to do. She does a pretty good job at being motherly,
Mm-hmm.
which is a bit on the nose.
Uh-huh.
But like that whole bit when like she was the one who was really pushing to make sure that we care for these people that have died. Like honoring the dead and just trying to do something nice for people. Like she's thinking, a lot. She's not thinking practically. She's definitely thinking with her heart.
Yeah. And in your classic superhero movie, right? She is the mother who then
Yeah,
comes and reminds the hero that he or she needs to be humble and remember your roots, and like that definitely is the role Claire plays.
and I would say that Kate is your really flipped on its head damsel in distress here. Like you're already seeing Sawyer and Jack kind of pawn over her, but she's constantly like, "I don't need saving."
Yeah.
Um, God, is that all the characters we have right now? I think in the next one you get a lot of Charlie, a lot of good stuff with Charlie. Clearly, because it's his episode, but you really finally get.
It's where the YouTube clip came from. I'm
Yeah, I
stoked.
know. I was gonna try and like figure out if I could capture that and put it in the episode, but I'm like, I'm not gonna do that yet.
Yeah.
I I should do some searching. There's got to be a full version of that song somewhere.
On some like deleted scene or extra footage,
Mm-hmm.
some featurette.
Oh, Hurley, right now is so relegated to comic relief.
Let me think about that. So he does the fainting scene when he's helping with the.
I also love that you didn't like that part.
I mean, okay. The last two episodes, Hurley has been less of an asshole, but I just thought he was an asshole in the first. Like, I don't know. I'm coming around.
All right. So before we finish this up, as always, how did you feel about the flashbacks in this one? You have this kind of list of words to describe them. Were these beneficial to the plot? Were these pedantic? Were these did they make sense with the actions that were happening on?
Yeah, and I thought it was surprising because you think with how harsh that Jin is to Sun from up to this point, I don't know. I just like assumed he came from, higher class, and I assumed that he was very strict.
Yeah.
His upbringing and all of that, and so it's really interesting to see him be the complete opposite at the start of his flashback and go through that journey. Plus, you get a mini Yakuza Godfather thing going on. I know that's Japan, but
Nice.
yeah, it's just fun to see like the gangster aspect.
And I think we go a little bit further into that later. I'm trying to remember. I know we definitely get an episode that's super emotional with him and his dad.
Okay. Oh God, I can imagine him on the farm.
No, he's a fisherman, homie.
Whatever.
Okay.
The sea is the fisherman's farm.
Nice. Holy shit. Okay, that's got to be the name of this episode. Drop the dice goes to the fisherman's farm. I like it. All right, so that is the House of Rising Sun. Anything else you wanted to add? I think that was pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it. This is a good one.
We're getting into this moment now where we don't. So we introduced Adam and Eve, which is a big thing, but like, this is again what Lost is doing really well. It's focusing on the characters. Like it's dropping in mysteries, kind of, but we're really veering towards these characters and telling this story now.
Sure.
And I think it's going to do a good job of weaving these mysteries in and out. Not that I'm biased, but take some notes, Benioff and DB Weiss.
It makes sense.
All right.
It's good to remind that even those small things like Adam and Eve are gonna matter in a significant way later on.
Right, and we talked about in the first episode. I like, how would anybody notice that shot of the stupid tennis shoes would be some sort of hint at something?
Sure, that's a good point.
All right, cool. So that's the House of Rising Sun. We will be back in a couple weeks, and we're going to talk about Drive Shaft and its #1 hit single. Everybody.
That's just gonna be the episode is us singing it.
Is that saying, yeah? Well, all right. Well, I'll wait till we get to it. Okay. Yeah, I'll wait till we get to it because I've got stuff to say. Even about the performance, I have stuff to say. All right. We'll talk to you guys next time. I think we still got Bus on the end here. So, Bus, why don't you lead us out? Sweet. These are. Oh, it doesn't tell me. These are great legs, man. Did you listen to the Kate episode?
No, I've only listened to the first one.
Dude, they're really fun to edit also because they're only like 30 minutes long.
Yeah, that's perfect. By the time you're like, okay, I've been doing this for a while, you're done.
Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, I can post this up. And then like, it's just like a nice, like, it's exactly what I wanted. Like, as much as I do, I love the long podcast myself. Like, it's a beast to edit, but dude, I feel so good when I'm done editing one of those. But I always wanted to like get some sort of a shorter podcast in, so it's good.
I know we barely talked about the flashback in that one, but I did really like it.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the first ones where it felt like a mini movie contained.
Right. Bring that up in the opening to this next one. I have something else I want to talk about though. But talk about that. Like, hey, like, I know we're going to get too much of this, but blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
Okay, so Charlie, anything stand out to you that we want to make sure we touch on? You literally just saw it.
Literally just saw it. Well, this is the one where Kate's man boner comes out full.
Oh yeah.
You have the moth, and Charlie is like kind of hallucinating the moth.
Yeah.
Because if he's not hallucinating the moth, then it's really heavy-handed. So I'm gonna say that he was hallucinating it.
Okay, I like to make that point because I did not think that.
You didn't think it was potentially heavy-handed, or like you only thought he was hallucinating it?
I only thought it was heavy-handed.
Oh, that is interesting. Okay, perfect.
I like the idea though that he might be because also at the time the way the moth is realized is a little fakey.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I like the idea that maybe he was hallucinating the moth, especially at the end. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, it's at the very end when it's flying up. Well, even in the cave, in the cave, he sees the moth. It doesn't look fakey there, but then it does again when it reappears at the end of the episode.
All right, save all that. Talk about that because that's something that I didn't even think about in terms of like maybe he could be imagining this and it's kind of guiding him, almost like his own spirits like guiding him, like he knows what to do. He always did. Okay.
I love what a horrible dresser he is.
Oh yeah, I liked his outfit in the very beginning.
I think he had maybe one good one, but
dude, he has a blazer, a button-up shirt, a scarf, and tight jeans.
Yeah, that is cool, but the rest of them look real bad.
Yeah. There's the one where he has like the eyeshadow, the sleeveless shirt, and I think either maybe like a wrap around his hand kind of scarf looking thing. All right. Okay, man. So, do you know what string theory is?
I do.
Okay. Can you describe it in like 10 seconds?
Is string theory about the concept of time as a string that it can be moved, or
kind of? It's more of a description of reality. It does help to describe time travel, though.
Okay, tell me about string.
So, from what I understand, again, this is you. All of you out there are more than welcome to yell at me on Twitter. String theory is the idea that the world is made up of string-like particles almost, and that vibrate at different frequencies. And if you're able to vibrate those particles at the right frequency, you can essentially pass through dimensions, and as such, travel through time. Now, within string theory, that goes past our 4 dimensions that we have, that we know of, right? String theory demands, I think, depending on who you talk to, 9 and 12 dimensions. Cool?
Yep.
You've heard of this, right? It's the idea, like you said, it allows for really weird events to happen.
Right.
Vibrating particles hit each other, and you can kind of like, I think it allows for like teleportation. It allows for all this stuff mathematically to be proven, but there's different jumps you have to take that haven't been proven, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like people work constantly to prove string theory, but there's always like, okay, like this works as long as this little piece right here is true.
Huh.
That kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does.
Like it's this kind, like I know I'm only bringing this up because I've been listening to this science podcast, and I literally listened to 2 hours on string theory the other day.
Nice.
And they talk about how in space, black matter was found to have energy, and it released an energy signature.
Yeah.
That sheer fact puts a wrench in string theory because that now messes with the calculations.
That I didn't know. That's
because you would need, so in order for that to happen, you would then need a gravitational constant in your equations in order to account for the energy that exists in such nothingness.
Yeah.
It's not nothingness anymore. It's now black space.
Right. Exactly. Which can be mined.
Right. So now you throw this in, and it tosses string theory all up in a whack. And I was listening to this guy kind of say, okay, well, so now we have to figure out what is the constant that works for this, and how do you define that? And it's super interesting, right? Anyways, kind of fits with Lost because of the time travel. I bring this up because I brought it up at work today, and I was like, and I just broad question to like 3 people. I was like, hey, have you guys heard about string theory? Have you listened to this podcast on string theory?
Yeah.
And someone asked, oh, what is it? And I kind of gave him a broad explanation. Again, I might be wrong. I think I have most of the concepts right. The idea of vibration is the main thing. The idea of vibrating particles that can pass dimension, I believe that's one of the main things. So I talked about that. And this girl was like, oh, absolutely. That's not a theory. That's real.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, what? And she's like, oh, absolutely. Like, no, people exist at different vibrations, and you can easily pass these dimensions. I've done that.
Did you ask her what chakra you have to be in first?
Okay, you got it. Exactly. And then I realized that she thought I was talking about some Sedona bullshit.
Yeah, totally.
And I was like, oh, okay. And then she started asking me about like, oh, if you about these special sounds that you can like listen to that'll help you vibrate at different frequencies.
Nice.
And I was like, oh.
You got to get one of those Chinese sound bowls where you like put the little wooden stick around it.
Dude, I was so disappointed. I should have known better.
I'm not.
And it was just, I was just so blown away, dude. I not that I've brought up string theory a lot in my life, but I've never brought it up and had it confused for like some crystal bullshit.
So just take like a mental tally of how many people you ask about string theory, how many people think that it's science or pseudoscience, and
I like it. I'll do that. Wow, it really blew my mind. And she was she's super cool. She's a great person. She was so like, oh yeah, like you should listen to this and this and this, and you should do this. And I was just like, we're so on the wrong page here.
Man, if only. So you gave me the T-shirt that has the map of a flat Earth on it,
right?
But if you had it and wore it, I would like to know what her reaction would be.
Right? You know? Oh man, dude. So that was my morning today, actually, at like 5 a.m. when we were unloading the truck. Shit. Okay. Do you have a shot ready?
I don't.
Right. Run. We'll both be right back, but it'll seem like no seconds to you guys. All right. More vodka?
I'm still thinking about that lady from this morning.
Dude, how?
It's like the line from Apocalypse Now. There's nothing like the smell of healing crystals in the morning.
Right? Literally, though, because I knew we were going to do this today, she was talking, and like 30 seconds into it, I was like, I cannot wait to tell Rico about this on the podcast. Speaking of which, what's up, everybody? I realized I haven't done this yet. We've been recording already for a bit, peek behind the curtain, but you guys don't know that. What's up, everybody? This is Ben from www.dropthedice.com, and with me today is Rico Wasman, my trusty cohort, and the only guy to ever want to be on a desert island with. Again, this isn't exactly Drop the Dice. We're tentatively calling ourselves the Dice Station because iTunes doesn't like we have to go back. Well, they love it, actually, but there's already plenty of podcasts out there named that. Those of you just joined us, we're about to take our inaugural shot of each episode. I have, that award that your peanut butter whiskey won?
Yeah, I do, of course.
Okay, so this won the same award, either the same, like, I don't know, in a different category or something. It is
weird that it's a different category. Is it like the?
I don't know. It's the same award. Maybe it was a different year.
Did it win the category for chocolate mint whiskey?
No. This is not the chocolate mint. This is actual bourbon.
Oh, I see.
Maybe it won a bourbon category. I don't know. Either way, it is. What do we got here? Southern something, small batch, original barrel age. It is not as good as the peanut butter one in terms of smoothness, but it's pretty good as far as bourbon goes. Oh, also $11.
There you go, and it won an award for $11.
Well, that's why I bought it. I don't. Whiskey is one of those things. I feel like if you go cheap on, you're probably gonna know what you end up with.
Yeah, totally.
Almost like tequila. Cheap tequila is horrible. God. Yeah, everybody, all 200 people who are listening just did that same sound.
I think our podcast name is like the one fedora per crew rule.
Nice.
Once you have 6 podcasts on iTunes, that's it.
Nice. I like it. All right, what do you got? Is it vodka?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Rico's last night in the States. I know I coughed, but that's actually pretty good.
Here's my plug for Spindrift Waters.
Hey, nice.
Seltzer waters made with real fruit.
Yeah, it is.
It's good.
Spindrift's pretty dope. Have you had our brand of seltzer waters?
The yuzu coconut water ones?
No, not that one.
That's a weird drink, man.
No, our actual it's like our version of LaCroix, or we carry Spindrift, or maybe we stopped carrying Spindrift, but
no, I don't think I've had your version.
We have a blood orange and a lemon elderflower and a cranberry lime. The blood orange is solid, man.
Blood orange? Okay.
I'm not going to say where I work, though, because they actually don't like that.
Do they not like it if I say that?
Yeah, because it's the same thing. In fact, if you notice on Instagram, or you probably never look on Instagram, I actually stopped hashtagging where I'm at when I post something about it.
Oh.
They sent out an email saying, like, hey, like, we understand everybody has social media, but please don't hashtag where you work at.
Whoa.
Right?
Okay.
I
remember once, and I'm not going to talk about where I work, but one time an email came out that asked people to post on social media about how great something was going.
Nice.
And I couldn't believe it.
That's so good. No. They're it's funny because they've always had a pretty lax view of social media, but they're just recently like, please don't, just to be safe, don't hashtag where you work. We know that not all of it's bad, but I think just to be safe, it'd be easier that way. Post where you work at, because we can't stop you from that. That's not illegal or against the rules. Just try not to put anything out there that's identifiable.
Identifiable in a hashtag, but or a sign, or
even as a sign, yeah. I shouldn't post something from the outside of my Hawaiian themed grocery store.
But the way that you do lettering for the produce section is pretty identified. They're not going that far, right?
No. And arguably, it actually shouldn't be identifiable if you have a good art team. at the Hawaiian themed grocery store that I work at.
Right. At the 3,000. How many items do you stock in a store? Is it like
2,500.
2,500. That's right. 2,500 max item store.
Yeah. That's dedicated to taking you on a culinary journey of the 7 Seas of flavor.
The actual biggest hint that I can ever give you to identify where Bent's works is if you walk into this store and you hear somebody say, "Well, you had this item last week,"
Nice.
and you know you're there.
Dude, speaking of which, have you seen these? I might have shown it to you. The videos of like, it's a clip of the movie Downfall, which is about Hitler and his last days.
Yeah.
But somebody redid the subtitles, and it's him being angry that like I've discontinued an item.
I think that you did, but I don't.
It's literally like him complaining, and he's like, it's his generals pointing to a map, and they're out at the one in Frankfurt, in Munich, and here we're gonna check these two. And they're pointing to the map, right? Like a strategy, and he's like, but it's the best strudel ever. I'm not gonna have to eat my mother-in-law's strudel. It's horrible. Like it's so good. You gotta watch. All of you should watch it too. Then you'll figure out where I work. But that's fine. Today, though, what are we talking about? We're talking about Drive Shaft, the best band to ever come out of fictional London.
We're talking about rock gods, baby, rock gods.
We are. We're talking about the Catholic Church, and we're talking about drugs. That's what this episode's about. We're going hard, and we're going ham, and by the end of it, I think we'll all be a little bit better people. So today we're going to talk about The Moth, which is Charlie's very first flashback episode. All right, so this episode starts off not like I remember it, with, hold on.
We did that whole intro without any singing Charlie's song. That's insane.
Of you all, everybody. Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Hi. What'd you get?
Avocado knife.
Huh?
Avocado knife.
Oh, so you want tacos?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everybody. We're talking about Charlie today.
I can tell.
Can you?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the song he sings. You all, everybody.
No,
No?
I don't think so.
Okay. What is that?
My guy got me an outfit. He also owns a clothing store.
What is
Hi.
up? Hello. Hi.
I can hear you. He has earphones on.
Oh,
Oh, that's the first. You never have earphones in.
I know.
What's avocado and lime? What are we eating?
I was gonna make. There's this like organic foursome I got at work that's like broccoli, zucchini, peas, and whatever. And I've been cooking chicken and soy sauce and garlic, and then tossing it with that. For some reason, she doesn't like zucchini, so I said, "Oh, I can make tacos," but I didn't buy anything for them. But I have tortillas and chicken because I'm Mexican. So if she wanted to buy like avocados and lime, we can like make some tacos.
Nice.
He can make tacos. I
Yeah,
can make
yeah.
tacos.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, without spoiling events, what did you think about last night's episode of Game of Thrones?
Fucking amazing.
See?
There you go.
Are you hearing else?
I'm 4 seasons behind, so my opinion is invalid.
No, it is not. Catch up.
Benito told me it was too late to catch up, so.
Oh yeah, I was spoiling stuff for him.
Mhm.
Not too much, but trying to.
Dude.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Your
sorry.
text, your text message
Yeah.
thread spoiled more than you did to me.
Oh wait, that's right. I don't know why they're in that one because we have like a thread without you.
It's all good.
Almost fucking here.
Yeah,
I'm
because
so far
we're
behind that I'm
podcasting.
not going to remember.
Did you figure out if you're coming out in June?
You know you have to.
Do I?
It's the only way she can come to game night.
Oh no. What day in June? I know
Well,
I ask this every time.
you said whenever your parents aren't here.
Yeah.
Whenever your parents
You said
aren't
specifically
here.
when my mom and dad aren't there, so I don't have to see them.
I feel that's so hard.
I think they're leaving at the end of May.
Just don't do June 6th.
I think that's when it was. No, I think it was June 14th.
That'll work.
or 13th.
You guys, we have to make it a moving target.
Huh?
We might have to make it a moving target.
Okay.
See to your pants.
Well, okay. The whole thing is you wanted to come see Hunter because he's coming from out of country.
I know, but he's gonna be here for a while.
Oh, okay. So we have a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to lock down at least a couple weeks beforehand so I can get off work.
All right, fair enough.
Because dude, people at my work are fucking insane. I had to ask for Gen Con in December.
That's insane.
Yeah. That was before we finalized anything.
Is August a high volume month to take off?
No, just the new managers that we have, they just like fucking ask for like every other weekend off.
Oh. That's stupid.
Exactly. None of them are listening. That's fine.
Well, you're gonna edit all this out anyways.
Yes. Live recording.
Oh, cool. Everyone wants to hear about this.
No, we edit this part out.
Mhm.
Nobody watches us live.
Yeah.
Except for that one guy with red hair.
That one time when they did.
Okay.
We had this one guy with red hair, and then so it used to be Rico hosting the thing. Eric, we're offline. And do you remember he like typed something too? He was like, "Start talking about this." I forgot what it was. It was the one like interaction we had.
I
And
used
he
to
was,
invite a work friend of mine too, and he would come just like watch us. And he's
well,
like, "I wanna listen to the
that was
podcast."
cool. But the one guy with red hair was like, "Hey, talk about what you don't like about the game."
What?
It was this guy, this like typical nerd looking dude with like stringy dyed red hair, like fire red. It was so good.
He went and shot up a movie theater.
No, that's just dark. Why do you hate nerds?
we have gotten fan mail before.
We gotten free games,
Fan
Free
mail.
games.
multiple free games.
Designers coming to be interviewed by us
Yeah.
or
Speaking
stood
of-
by us, depending on how you look at it.
Do you think? Well, yeah, that was your fault, but he ended up being cool.
He was cool.
Creepy redhead?
No. Do you think if we emailed David, he'd talk to us again?
Probably not.
Oh, okay.
I
Really?
don't know. I mean, how do you know how many times his video has been viewed on YouTube?
No.
I don't think he has very many interviews.
No, because remember when we left?
The fact that our interview is there.
When we left, it was like 4 a.m. and he was like, "Wait, no, I have more to talk about."
I do remember that. Okay, so if you search his name, David Turksey, our video is 1, 2, 3, 4.
Still going.
Okay, I'm in like 25.
Oof.
At one point, searching his name was in the top 10 videos that would come up.
Nice. Oh, but he's got so many more games out that got to have way more reviews out now.
Yeah,
Nacrony fucked us, didn't it?
I think so. Which is exactly what we were talking to him about.
So that's cool. But I'd love to talk to him like about what's it called, Petrichor?
Hmm.
Or like how he's like Minecraft's boy now.
He's doing a lot of solo stuff. He did the solo for Teotihuacan.
I know, and how like, dude, did he actually get to work with that group of guys?
I sure hope so.
All right, so what do you think? Like 50% chance you come out in June?
I'm like 25.
25?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, just keep us updated. I mean, it's fine with me, but she's the one hoping.
I know. What, Mary? What if you just come to Gen Con instead? How's that for an idea?
Ask him.
I don't know how to explain that to Stan, man.
I'll do it.
Okay.
At least there comes a time in his life when someone's got to sit him down.
Oh.
We'll just do that at Stan's wedding. I'll bring Mary as my +1.
Sounds fun.
And just have him and Ariel both go like, "Is that Mary?"
No.
I can't wait for.
Gen Con? Me neither.
No, his wedding is going to be so interesting.
Yeah. They're getting a bar.
They're probably a cash bar.
Probably. I didn't want to ask.
Yes, you did.
I did, but I didn't want to ask. Got to be a friend.
Yeah. Yeah, poor guy.
I assume we're just gonna. I assume we would just like get a place in Prescott and like drink all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do that.
You guys think it's gonna make it to the wedding?
Wow.
I mean, I'd rather just start at the wedding, you know? Then I can say I was there.
Yeah. No, she means the relationship.
Oh. Well,
I know I heard.
We should get our place in advance, so we can go to Prescott either way.
Yeah. Either way, we'll go to Prescott and play some board games in a hotel room.
That's right.
And I'm gonna be there.
Yeah, and she'll be there.
And I'll call Staten even if there's no wedding.
Yeah. We should have Mark bring Chase.
Have you heard anything like else? You're just saying that because Ariel's crazy, not because you actually know something.
No.
No.
Yeah,
she's
she's crazy.
All right, I didn't find our interview. I looked.
Satan's watching this right now, isn't he?
I know, right? Or Ariel.
No, just that. And then weren't you here when Jack was here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He stopped by. What did he play with this last time?
Tesla.
Tesla. That game is so good.
Yeah, bro.
I'm on game 6 of Betrayal Legacy right now.
Oh, fuck you.
We
How's
should
that?
play that?
It's so fun, dude.
Are you doing it with Amanda?
No, I'm doing it with Phil, Jose, and
I
Jose.
don't know. I don't know those people.
Yeah, friends from out here.
How many players do you need?
I think it plays up to 5.
No, but how many do you need?
I've heard they designed it for 4, but it can be played with 3 or 5.
How many are you doing it with?
4.
I feel like less than 4 is probably.
Or can we do Pandemic?
I'm not playing Pandemic. You've never listened to any of our podcasts, clearly.
No.
I have Pandemic Legacy Season 2, and that seems accessible and fun. I bought Rise of the Queensdale, which is made by
Yeah.
Marcus and Incas brand. They like make all these cool heavy Euro games that we really like. And I unboxed it. It looks like it's going to be really intense and fiddly.
I don't think it is. Everything I've heard about Queensdale is that it's actually really easy.
Okay.
Also, Queensdale's supposedly good for 2. I would do Queensdale. I'm not playing Pandemic.
I think Season 2 looks interesting enough to play it. Here's the beautiful thing about Pandemic Legacy, at least Season 1 that I played, is you're getting through Legacy games in 45 minutes, and that doesn't happen in any other type of Legacy game that I've ever played. Like Seafall, those games were probably decently long.
Have you played Seafall yet?
No, but you guys were telling me like you guys were able to get through them relatively quickly, but there's still upkeep that happens, and like with the Pandemic ones, man, we were flying through them.
Oh yeah, we were doing a couple months a night, but then everyone realized they hated the game.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with Pandemic Season 1 is that it's Pandemic.
No, that's absolutely true.
And that like all the cool stuff that happens, you realize, oh, we're still playing Pandemic, but now you replace
the Legacy, and when you look back at it, is that
you replace the disease with this, but it's the same game.
Well, not even that, is that half the game that's in Legacy Season 1 is content that already came out in the expansions, and then they basically just like slowly deploy it out.
Yeah.
Sneaky.
Yeah. But I mean, I didn't hate it as much as the other guys, but it's still like Seafall like gets me so hard, and like I love that shit. Pandemic never did that.
I really am enjoying Betrayal. It still has the exact same problems as the original Betrayal.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard.
It's fiddly, but like
she's got the expansion to Betrayal.
It's great. Oh, it's really great.
Okay. So if you're a Betrayal fan, I would really recommend this. Like, all I can say is already more than one of the haunts was like, oh, that is.
Wow.
Well, so what super excited me, which I wanted to do with us, if we ever could, is that there's one versus many haunts, There's like everyone versus the computer essentially, and then like team haunts.
Yeah.
We're like multiple people.
I really like what they do with the event cards. So normally you have the same event deck and you draw it and like that's what you play with. So the legacy game makes sense. You're going to get new events as you go along through. But what I really like is that a lot of times you draw the event and it says if this thing, or if you pass a skill check, or if you're unlucky, put an X on this card. And then when a certain number of X's happen and you draw the card, you may have to read a thing and something else will happen. You may have to destroy the card. You may get a benefit. So like you're playing with this event deck that yes, you do end up seeing the same cards over and over because it still is a trail. The cards themselves are changing. And
Nice.
It's
That's
a
awesome.
simple tweak where I liked it.
Dude, have you played Fenris yet?
Mm-mm.
Oh. Fuck.
It's not a legacy game though, is it?
I mean,
Just a campaign, right?
sure.
Okay.
I'd probably throw it in there. I think you make the argument either way. As a campaign legacy, that's the best one I've ever played.
Nice. Okay.
And like those games of Scythe were some of the most amazing games of Scythe I've ever played.
That's cool.
You know, where you're like
played it consistently too, right? Like 3 days.
Yeah, we played 2 to 3 games each night. The second night we could have gone more because we fucking started so early. But Staten was so pissed off because he lost all 3.
Did you bring a beer just to be ready?
Yeah, have you never seen this podcast?
Just in case.
Yeah, I probably need to go get another one too.
Okay, so Staten was so upset because he lost the 3 games in a row that he started packing up and left.
Did you know? Okay,
And me and Zach stayed here and played video games.
In our text thread today, Staten said he's leaving their next all-day game session at 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Is that new information or?
No. That's he told us that because he has to go eat with family.
Okay. I didn't know if he was just pulling a like, oh, I know you plan this around me, but I have to dip out at 6.
No. I knew he when we said all day he meant like that he had to leave like before 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So although were you here? No, you weren't here the last one where Staten left and Mark was like, "Well, Staten's gone. I'm just going to drink a lot more now."
Honestly, it's probably why he leaves at 6. He's like, well, the games really stop being played at 6.
No. But I told you so even if right now did you see when they want to start?
Yeah, that cracked me up. Mark said, I planned on being there at 9:30 with a burrito and a 12-pack.
Right. So I'm not going to start drinking until noon either way.
Good for you. I don't start drinking until noon.
If you were here, I'd drink at 9.
But I wouldn't.
Yes, you would.
I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't.
Yes, you would. You fucking asshole. We did shots at 4 a.m. and did a podcast.
That's different.
That's
you
different.
Can start drink if you have been up all night. It is not too late to drink.
No.
I was
rules to this shit.
I was reminiscing at work about the last time you came for a holiday, and just how wrecked me, you, and Zach were every day.
Dude, that was the worst week.
Dude, that by the end, people at work, well, at least one person at work, was like, "You got to tell your friends to leave, man. You look rough."
Even now, I'm like, if I go home.
I just don't know how it started with you. Remember, like Sarah brought you, and we were up till 3. Then the next night we were up till 4. Well, the next time you came, you were up till 4, and then the next time we were up till 8.
Man, I had so many people like come through so clutch that week. Like after the big party after Zach's wedding, I woke up at 8:30. 8:30 at the latest, and Chase had already cleaned the entire house.
Oh, he said if he stopped cleaning, he would have passed out and thrown up.
Thrown up.
Shut
Like
up.
you did in my car.
It was in a cup.
Yeah, it wasn't gonna be in a cup.
I don't know how me and dude, I'm excited and scared for Gen Con.
No, Gen Con is not the same vibe as
Please
War.
don't let him die.
I got his back. I'm telling you, it's not the same vibe as War. Like, it's a convention. 60,000 people there, and everyone's
So you
No,
get
no,
even
no, no,
more
no, no,
drunk?
no, no. Dude, at the hotel room though, after Gen Con,
all right. Well, we'll see then.
you literally said this is the first time you're going to be able to drink at Gen Con. We should go hard.
Not every night.
So scared.
Not every night. Okay, you're going to come to the party on Friday with us and see how hard these guys from SoCal party.
That'll be the night.
But are you really going to bring that salmon vodka?
Oh no. Oh no.
You said you were.
Salmon.
Smoked salmon.
Mm-mm.
We'll see what I can do.
If you don't, will you bring this other thing that you can get in Connecticut, but you can't get here?
Yeah, what is it?
It's called. So there's you can get whichever one you want. There's whiskey.
Avita pecan.
Wow. Yes. There's three. There's whiskeyla, vodkila,
No.
and rumkila.
No.
It's a mixture of different alcohols in tequila.
I'm getting it involuntary. I've only typed in half the word.
Both of you will die.
Honestly, like when it gets to all of us, it's Eric and Mark that stay up the latest.
Yeah, for sure.
I pass out and me and Zach start cuddling. I mean, Staten will be out by like 9.
All right, let's see. Whiskeyla. What's the other one?
Try vodkila.
Mm-mm. How about not? Not Kila.
Mm-hmm. Man, so I tried to come home and work out, and then I sat in that chair and passed out for 2 hours.
No. You didn't even use the fuzzy blanket?
No, because I was like, if I sit down here, I'm not gonna pass out. And then
So it's not the blanket's fault.
no, it's like the blanket's worse. Because with the blanket, I can't get up. I wake up and I'm like, eh. So finally, I got up, worked out, ran to the shower. Fuck this guy.
It looks like they all come from the same brand.
Yeah. It's the same brand. I think you can get it in Connecticut though.
Okay, I'll check it out.
All right, let's finish so we can eat. Okay.
Bye. Don't get vodka. Don't do that.
You know you should.
No.
Don't listen to girls.
No.
Well, it depends, Mary. It's going to be a close call between that and the smoked salmon. So
Oh, definitely bring the smoked salmon because I don't think anyone's gonna actually drink that.
She actually has.
that's probably true.
She has a point there. No one is going to drink the smoked salmon except for me and you.
We're just going to like carry shots around and bang people.
Yeah. That's actually a great idea. That's how I can introduce myself to Ryan Lockett.
Oh my god. It's probably better than what your last plan was.
What was my last plan? To flop my dick out on his table and tell him about something?
I think it was to flop his dick on his table.
That's right, yeah. Huh?
What's that?
Flop my dick out on a table so I can meet Ryan Lockett?
Is that gonna work?
Yeah, you can't be chiming in if we're podcasting.
Are you podcasting right now?
We're live.
Yo, you were live before.
Yeah, but I said I told you to leave.
Yeah.
Tell
But
her I said,
we're talking about
you
flopping your dick
lost
out on a
this
table on your podcast.
Again, you've never listened to our podcast if you think flopping our dick out is weird. I have 300 followers.
On what?
Podcast subscribers. All right. Oh, will you give me another one?
No, you have one.
No, I know, but I'm going to finish this one. And I don't want to have to get up to get it. Excellent.
Not while you're podcasting.
No, this is what we do. We drink while we podcast.
I just don't understand this at all. Oh my god. How much longer?
I mean, these are usually like 30 minutes.
I'm so hungry.
And we're actually done with this cold open, so we should be good.
That's just cold open.
Huh?
You just said the cold open? Is the cold open you flopping your dick out on the table?
Yeah. No, the cold open was. Do you know what string theory is? What is it? Okay. Do you want to watch that episode again? I feel like I want to give it another shot. I'm thinking it's a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think? I still think narratively it was a bad episode. What do you think? Huh?
It was incredible.
Definitely wasn't incredible.
It was incredible.
I think cinematically it might have like talent wise, I think it might have been incredible.
It was incredible.
Why?
Oh, vodka.
You all, everybody.
Whoa, everybody!
That's where we were at, right?
I don't even remember.
All right. Well, let's bring us into the beginning of the episode then. Not the beginning of the episode, the beginning of the episode of Lost.
Okay,
You ready?
I'm ready.
Ready?
All right. Nice. I like it. All right. So today we're going to talk about The Moth, which is the first episode that Charlie has a flashback. Dude, so I think the one thing with this episode, more than any other, is we finally get the biggest version we have of "You all, everybody."
I was delighted because it's the version I've been watching on YouTube for weeks.
Right. And so, okay, so up front, that song sucks.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, it's not. It would be so cool if it was like a really, really good. So, you know what it reminded me of? Have you seen Almost Famous?
no.
Really?
I know the cover, right, with like the cool sunglasses.
Oh my god! Why are you so young?
I know.
Because Almost Famous is a great movie, but arguably, like, if you weren't in the right age range, you might not have seen it yet. But dude, okay, so Almost Famous, same thing, has a band, right? And they make music, and as much as the music that they make is they're good, they're okay songs. It doesn't make sense that they blow up the way they do in the movie. Does that make sense?
Because it's not good enough for the blow up.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. So You All, Everybody, kind of the same thing. Like, it's catchy, and like we like it because we make fun of it a lot. But dude, like, that's a horrible song.
I actually think that it is just good enough to be a one-hit wonder. And I think that this episode doesn't tell you that Drive Shaft is anything but a one-hit wonder.
True, and this is where I don't remember. I don't remember the rest of his flashbacks. I know his brother references a night where they're walking around trying to get a fix while his daughter's being born. I believe we see that at some point, but I don't remember his other flashbacks. In 8 seasons, we see a couple.
Yeah, of course. But even at the end of his
8 seasons,
episode,
3 seasons.
Right, 3 seasons. He says that Drive Shaft just got invited to go on tour in America, opening for another band, and he referenced like he hadn't even heard about that band. It's like Meatball or Meat something, I don't know.
Right.
And so if the band was anything but a one-hit wonder, it probably wouldn't be opening for somebody, or it would at least be somebody that you knew of in America. And neither of those are true. Like, I'm pretty sure that it was a one-hit wonder.
Right.
And this song is it's the perfect one-hit wonder song. It has
All right, I can see that. And,
it's catchy and infectious with no substance behind it. The band can't do anything else. I mean,
it's funny because I believe in this video we finally get other words besides "You All, Everybody."
Yeah, you do. You get like the pre-chorus or the bridge or whatever that is.
And you get that moment where and Charlie gets upset. And he's like, I'm supposed to sing the chorus.
Right.
But that's not how the episode starts off. The episode starts off, Charlie goes to confession. I actually like this scene quite a bit. Charlie goes to confession, and he's confessing to a priest, and he says, "Last night I laid with a woman. And then I laid with another woman. And then I sat back and watched the two women lay together." And you see that, like, this is the beginning of this, like, rock star lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
You said Charlie doesn't dress well. I thought he looks awesome here. Liam is, of course, sitting in a pew, completely irreverent, with his feet up. And as a Catholic boy, I remember being like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. That's actually the only scene where I did think he was dressed well. But he looks more like a hobbit there than a rock star.
Right.
Which is maybe why I think he looked good.
I thought this does a great job of setting up who Charlie is. I mean, when Liam tells him that they're going to be signed, Charlie's like, as much as we see that, okay, like you get this cool thing where like clearly he can give into temptation because he does, but he's there constantly telling Liam, "Hey, it's got to be about the music. It's got to be, if I say we got to go, we got to go. We got to step back. Once it's gone too far, we leave." And Liam's there, of course, being like, "Yeah, little brother, like whatever you say."
You know what I liked about that confession scene is that they played it straight. I feel like in a lot of other movies or shows, the priest would have cut the person off.
Right.
Like, he's about to describe a threesome, and
Right.
I'm like, okay, I got it. Like you're fucking bitches,
Yeah.
But the priest kind of lets him get his piece out, and I think the way that I interpreted that is that Charlie isn't just showing up to church randomly and pretending to be God-fearing all of a sudden, while having all these band fueled orgies. But he actually is a churchgoer. He's a man of Christ. This is something that he does, and that priest.
No, he's actually confessing these sins that he feels bad about.
But just because you would think, like, who's ridiculous enough to go describe a threesome to a priest? And so I thought that it was going to be a joke, but they played it straight, and it makes sense. And Charlie goes to church, and so like just that one tiny detail made me believe in Charlie and who he was before getting into the band.
Right. So then we go back to the island, and we see Charlie as bait to catch a boar.
Yeah.
And I think this is another like you get to like at the beginning of this episode, and then kind of up to this moment, Charlie hasn't really made a name for himself yet. He's kind of been there, helping out here and there. He's gone on this walk. He hasn't really shown exactly what he can contribute. And as much as I do think that he's a little hard on himself, is that he's not contributing anything.
Yeah, I agree.
But maybe because I know what he does later on.
Yeah,
I was trying to put myself in that mindset, but like here, like he's clearly just bait to help Locke. You have that moment where Locke says, "I'm gonna hold your drugs. You asked me 3 times. I'll give it to you on the 3rd time. Just for the record, this is 1." Cool little moment. I like that. Locke in these first couple episodes, you don't know. Well, Locke in these episodes, don't even know how to like really talk about this without spoiling it. It's clear that Locke here has everyone's best intentions in mind.
Absolutely, and he either just gets it intuitively or knows a lot more than he's letting on.
Right, and he seems to have some sort of intuition or relationship with the island immediately, because he's one of the ones who's witnessed or felt a miracle, right? Like he can walk.
Yeah.
The first of these weird happenings that are going to happen on the island. We're going to see multiple things that are crazy. And Locke was the first one there. He believes it, and at this moment, at least at this moment here, Locke is trying. At least he thinks he's trying to help. We might see that shift down the line. I wrote down laptop battery. Saeed is trying to power, which we talked about last episode. Saeed is trying to power some of these little antenna things that he has, and they pull off a laptop battery, and it's like, dude, yeah, it's like this brick. And we're recording on a laptop right now, and I have no idea where the battery is.
Yeah, it's a good point. It looks like a wrist rest that you would put.
Yeah. Yes. I totally remember like this thing that goes like, and like it even makes like loud sounds when you would snap it on the laptops. Like there's so much imposition with this battery. Like now, like it's almost ridiculous to look back on that. And that's one of the few things about this show that will date it. I loved that. I mean, enough to write it down. I laughed at that wholeheartedly.
That's funny.
So going back to Charlie, the brother's telling him that they're going to do this thing, and Charlie's so insistent so insistent, even through multiple flashbacks, that it has to all be about the music. And I mean, you saw this in the last episode where he really cared about his guitar. You can tell that this is a not even like a this is a true passion of Charlie's to make music. That is something that is in his soul.
Yeah, he makes his brother promise that if things go too far, that they're gonna call it quits.
Right. And I love that. Like it's so cool. I think that's a great it's one of the first moments where you see Charlie actually have a backbone, you know, where he doesn't just kind of bend to the will of others or go along with he's not a character that goes along with the flow. Here we see him like, no. This is what he's steadfast about. This is what Charlie cares about. It's the music. And, you know, later on we're going to see that same kind of passion with Claire. But this is that first moment where you see him as having conviction over anything but drugs.
So do you think that what you said is congruous with what he does next, which is as soon as his brother insults him and says, you know, you're nothing and drive shaft is me, that he immediately picks up a bag of heroin and is like, well, it's heroin time. I don't know. The switch seemed to happen so fast that I was a little thrown off.
Well, and that comes back to the next thing, is that I think that as much as this is the one thing that he has conviction about, he's ultimately, at least in his past, because the show's about, I would argue that the main theme of the show is redemption. He's ultimately a weak person then, or at least have a weak constitution.
Right. Okay.
Because like all of these characters have some sort of fault, some sort of thing that they're dealing with. Charlie's is that he's so passionate about the music and that he cares about it, but that he was willing to give that up because he was getting that taste of fame and he was trying to go along with his brother to the point where by the end of this episode, he's still in that hole and his brother's dug himself out. And Charlie wasn't able to because of that. So, there's a cool moment here with Saeed and Kate coming up where Saeed says we shouldn't have survived.
Yeah.
He discusses the nature of the plane crash and how the half of the plane fell off and we like flip-flopped all the way down, crashed. None of us have any broken bones. Like one guy died, the rest of us have no scratches.
Yeah.
And Kate says something that again I think is very telling and that I think is ultimately faulty, but she's there, and I think it makes sense for her. If she says something's just happened, no rhyme, no reason. And I think that this is one of those moments where she says something and she's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the context of the show, this is great. This makes sense for her character, who's just trying to get by, just trying to survive. She's the survivor out of all, right?
He's not looking for patterns in the cosmos.
No.
Yeah, that scene stood out to me because I think that they were really downplaying just how rare it is to survive a plane crash, especially one that's over open water. Like that doesn't. It's not a thing.
And I love that Saeed, who is arguably the voice of like, if not common sense, like logic, so much in these early episodes. Says like we should have died, and she's there like, dude, don't even worry about it. Like we survived. Now what's next? How do we survive now?
Yeah.
Where Saeed, he needs to know the reasons. He's got that mind.
Yeah.
I really like that.
So you were talking last episode about how Boone is a hero, but that idiot gave the transceiver to Shannon. The
right,
because he had a pebble fall on him.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Sure, but like Boone wants so bad though to be a hero. So I don't know. Does that not make him? I don't know. It doesn't make him a hero, but does he not fall into that role? Like I wonder, like at what point, if we're discussing archetypes, if we're discussing character roles and what position they're in on the island, does he not fall into that slot because he sucks at it?
So the part that he sucks at, right, is not his fault. It's more of the writer's fault of who they want Boone to be. But he doesn't. Heroes make mistakes frequently,
Sure.
and we question their decisions all of the time. But most of the time, at the end of it, right, they're heroes because more often than not, they come away successful and they made a difference. And so maybe they made a hard choice that hurt somebody, but then over here, they, for the greater good, they did this thing.
Okay.
So Boone made a risky decision to leave the transponder with Shannon, and then didn't really make a difference that he was there to help the rock slide. And so like that's where I look at it like you're not a hero because you being there didn't actually change the tide.
Okay.
And so then I just see him being stupid because he's not a hero. He's not making the difference. He's not, it's not all because Boone made this really smart choice and he had to give it to Shannon and he's going to go save the day. It's like, no, he just abandoned his post because he wants to be where the action is and he wants to make a difference, but he's not. And that's
So, okay, I think it's really good. We kind of buried the lead a bit here. Right in the beginning of the episode, Jack gets caught in the caves, kind of where the water is at, when he's there with Charlie trying to get more water. And the crux of the episode is people trying to either figure out how to save Jack or kind of what to do.
mm-hmm.
And you have kind of Charlie dealing with the aftermath of that, of kind of feeling guilty that he got out and Jack's kind of in there. And Boone leaves. Saeed has this plan to shoot bottle rockets at different areas of the island, and if he does that, and then he turns on the transponders at these different points, he will figure out where this signal's coming from.
They need all three antennas on at the same time, so he can triangulate where the French lady is, but they only have a minute, or less.
So what are the bottle rockets for then?
So they have to turn them all on at the same time, right? So like if you go into the jungle 3 miles and I go into the jungle 3 miles and you say turn them on whenever you want, it only has a minute of battery life. So the bottle rockets signal that everyone is about to turn on their antennas.
Okay.
And then bottle rocket goes on once all three, then he turns on his transponder, and then that picks up hopefully all three antennas while they still have battery.
And you can triangulate with everything. Okay, so we'll get to that in a second here because it's pretty important. But just a couple more notes here. Like you said last episode, Michael really shows his talents for being a construction worker or
yeah, he's hesitant about being on the island. Obviously, he's frustrated. He's trying to figure out how to be a dad. And now he seems to be embracing the fact that they're stuck on an island, and he's embracing, just who he is and what he brings to the group, which I think is something that makes Charlie feel separated from the group. But I thought it was really cool. He comes in, he's like, this is it's not a load-bearing wall, Jerry. And he has them go around the back of the cave to
I really like that too. He's like, you guys are going to dig here all you want. You're going to collapse it on yourselves. You should do this and do this and do this. I thought that was really cool. And I wrote Walt has a slight admiration. Walt gives him the tiniest bit of all right, you might be an okay dad.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Of course, I would do this too. I would task Sawyer with going to tell Kate about Jack. So Sawyer goes and then doesn't immediately tell Kate about Jack because Sawyer's Sawyer.
Yeah.
Locke has his moth speech. And he sees this moth, and he's got his knife, and he talks about helping the moth get out. But if he does that, then the moth is going to die because the moth learns to fight by being inside this cocoon.
It's really, really fortunate timing that there happened to be a nearly budding moth.
Right. Exactly.
I loved it.
I did. It's so good though. Early Locke is so smart, and he just what's his name? Terry O'Quinn is just nailing this role.
Yeah.
Completely, and it's awesome. He imbues it with a certain mysteriousness that you question how good of a person he is, but yet he's still helping everybody, at least in these first seasons. It's so well done, man. It's so cool. I wrote Sawyer is so fucking sexy. He had swag before swag was a word.
Oh my god. I see. I don't know if Sawyer as leading man number 2, as Island's second most sexiest man, if that holds up these days.
Dude, he's so dope. Just wait. Just wait.
I mean, he might
Actually,
be.
I think Sawyer's the
Right
next
now-
episode.
Is he? Okay. Because right now he's just, he's the pill pusher, he's the pawn shop, he's still sleazy,
He's so well. Even if he's, I don't even know if he's improvising some of the stuff. He's got the best lines, dude. He's so good.
Yeah.
When he's like, yo, Doc, we in the wild now. I think I wrote it down here. I think he calls. No. It was the last one. He calls Kate Freckles for the first time.
Yeah, that's great. I love his nicknames for Kate. Those have to be improv, at least some of them.
Oh, I wrote that. Okay, so Sawyer and Jack. Well, not as much as Locke and Jack. Sawyer and Jack, especially throughout the whole series, there's all these dichotomies. There's all these binary characters that we have, right? You have Jack and Locke that's going to progress for a while, but you also have Sawyer and Jack. It's these two sides of the same coin, and it's really interesting to see how so much of this show revolves around Jack and his relations to other people right away.
Okay. Any point there, or just observe, just.
It was just something that I noticed, that relationship is Sawyer and Jack being different or being like having a dichotomous relationship. The way that relationship and the way Jack and Locke's relationship evolve, they never meet really, but like they end up kind of separated from each other, and Jack and Locke's become much more adversarial, and Sawyer and Jack's become like they work together, but they're still kind of like they're worthy of, they want the same goal, but they're going to go about it different ways.
Yeah, I'm excited to see, because neither of those pairs are really interacting much at all in this up to this point.
No, so finally Sawyer tells Kate what happened to the doctor, and she immediately drops everything and runs back to Jack.
She pulls a Boone, but the difference is, one, you know that she's going to go to the front of that rock pile, pull Jack out if she has to, which is heroic. And you also know that she has left the transponder in capable hands. Like, Sawyer isn't going to mess that up.
Right.
So, that's the reason why I have less of an issue with Kate, dropping Trow and going.
So as far as the flashbacks go, I wrote that I thought that was interesting. So speaking of direction, just the way that they filmed it, the flashbacks get a lot more handheld as the show goes on, as Liam and Charlie both fall into addiction.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting, where the first scene with the priest is very stable. But as we get on and on, like there's a scene where Charlie jumps in and Liam's doing drugs with all these girls, and like it's just more and more chaotic. It's clearly that they're using handheld cameras, and I thought that was really cool as a representation of the state of the characters. I mean, as the film lover, I love that kind of cinematic language that you're bringing to television.
Yeah, that's a great detail.
And again, like one of those things that like the reason why we're doing this podcast, I love seeing that now and be like, oh my god, like I didn't really notice that the first time, because you're so engrossed in the story and trying to like keep up. All right. So what happens at the end of the flashback?
I think you're referring to the moths, right?
No. At the end of the flashback, where
the end of the flashback.
Charlie goes to see his brother.
Yeah, he's like, hey, we just got this awesome tour to open in America for this band that no one's ever heard of. Let's get Drive Shaft back together. This is once in a lifetime. And his brother is sitting there, wearing he's wearing Brooks Brothers. And I had to think of a good brand there.
It's pretty good. J. Crew, whatever.
Yeah, J. Crew, and his brother is like, no, I've got a family, I can't go. And Charlie is clearly still using. He's shaking. He's wearing sunglasses, and he blames his brother for kind of for getting him into hard drugs and for not making it about the music. And his brother says like you got to know when to pull out, man, and that he's not going back in. It's not worth it. So
you get
Charlie
to see
walks away.
where again dichotomies were in the are in this series quite a bit, and you have a lot of swaps back and forth throughout the whole series. And here you have Liam and Charlie literally switching spots by the end, where now Charlie's the druggie, Liam is the one who's more realistic and caring about what really matters, and that switching of places is really interesting. And then you kind of get to the island, and you have Charlie trying so hard to get back to where he was before. Dualities, dichotomies, whatever you want to call it. It's always really interesting in stories. I think it's awesome when narratives can play with those and flip them back and forth. And this show is going to do that throughout the whole series. You get Charlie's hero moment when he saves Jack. Kate, of course, they're telling her she's got to stop because she's been working for so long, and then Jack gets out and they hug fuck each other.
Mm-hmm. And then Jack is like, "Thanks, Kate."
Yeah. Kate makes Jack a sling, which again I thought was really cool. Just one of those like, he even says something like, "Oh, my first sling." Just like a nice little tender moment between the two. Do you remember what happens to Saeed at the end of this episode?
Yeah, he gets walloped with like a big ass stick.
Yeah. Do you know who hits him?
I'm assuming it's the French lady.
Yeah, it's Danielle. So Danielle hits Saeed at the end of this episode. I don't remember if we find out. I think there's an episode, and then the next episode we find out what happens.
Yeah, because she hangs out with they hang out for a while.
Yeah. So at the end of this episode, there's another one where Hurley listens to music on his CD player. Also, Hurley has a CD player, so dated. And I don't remember. Is this the Damien Rice episode?
No. Are you sure that happens? I don't.
Hurley.
I don't think that happens in this episode.
You sure? I wrote. Okay, so I wrote Hurley listening to music. Started in episode 2. So we finished a lot. Okay, so we finished a lot of episodes with her listening to music. All right, there's at least 2 episodes that he's already done that. I'm pretty sure it happens in this episode as well, where he's listening to something on his Discman.
Oh, he might be, but I'm pretty sure this episode ends with the moth flying away.
I think the music's playing though. So either way, I don't know why I just watched this. I'm sure I wrote this for a reason. But either way, Hurley's listening to music.
Go back.
I know we got to go back. I'm sick of lying. Yeah. So, Hurley's listening to music constantly at the end of these episodes, and I think that is interesting. Again, coming back, season 1, we're already seeing that so much of this is ending with Hurley's point of view, and I think that's awesome. That in season 1,
on it, folks.
Huh?
I said, keep your eye on it, folks.
Right. Season 1, we finish with Hurley's point of view constantly as he looks at everybody through this lens of these songs, that of course are thematically relevant. But Hurley is creating these moments in his head as he looks around, and I think that's amazing and just brilliant foreshadowing. Because I don't know what happens, but maybe you do.
Because it's been out for 15 years.
Right. But again, dude, Hurley there doing that is super cool.
Do you want to talk about the namesake of the episode, the moth?
Yes. I know you had some awesome theories on this, which eclipsed anything I had.
Oh, nice. Well, there were 2 instances where the moth comes into play after Locke had done his little analogy, his convenient analogy about the cocoon, which basically was the newly formed butterfly. It has to push itself out of the cocoon so that it lives, because that sort of trial hardens it so that it can survive, right?
Right.
Which I actually heard was true, that when that little hole, when the moth pushes itself through, it pushes blood through its wings, and that's like what kind of kickstarts the circulation. So
okay,
that's totally true. you see the moth in the first time when Charlie is helping Jack through the cave. They're like
Right?
stuck in this cave, and then Charlie sees the moth, and the moth floats up, and then the moth is like, "Look, asshole, there's like a ladder. You just climb the ladder, and you can get out of here."
Yeah.
So they do. They get out, and then the second time you see the moth is when Charlie asks for his drugs for the third time. Locke gives him his drugs. Charlie's like, "All right, I got this," and he throws the drugs into the fire. And that's the kind of
So real quick, you have some good points right here in a second. We didn't talk about that. Jack knew Charlie was a drug addict.
yeah, totally.
I like that. I watching it again, I was worried that Jack wasn't going to acknowledge it because I don't remember if he does or not. It's a pretty quick moment, so I was happy that Jack, as a doctor,
Yeah,
was able to see that. Okay,
so, right. No, he does so without like no judgment. He's just like, yeah, you're going through withdrawals. And
I also like his line right here is really good too. Where he's like, "Hey, I could have helped you."
Yeah.
And that's it. That's it. Nothing too dramatic. Nothing too not this like freaking after school special. Just I could have helped you.
What I like better than that is another character walks up. I think it's Hurley, and he's going through, probably the worst part of his withdrawals, and his eyes are bloodshot. He's sweating and he's shaking, and Jack is like, "Oh, he's got the flu."
Yeah,
And like, it's such a dope moment where he covers for him like that. I like that a lot.
nice. So tell me more about the moth. You had some good stuff.
Jack asks him if he has started hallucinating yet.
Yes.
And you've already seen the moth once, and the moth looks very real when he sees it when they're stuck in the cave, and then they get out. And then after that, he's like, "Oh, you're going through withdrawals. Have you been having hallucinations yet?" And then at the end of the episode, when he throws his drugs on the fire and the smoke kind of curls up, the camera pans up and you see this big giant moth, and it looks pretty chintzy, like it stands out as not a real moth. And so that's where I thought, like, oh, both of these moths were his drug hallucinations, but they had a purpose and they helped him, kind of escape the tunnel collapse. So you just thought it was, it stood out as being really fake,
Right.
but I thought it was intentional in that it was supposed to show that they were his hallucinations, but yet they had a purpose to like save them.
I like that. I like that. I think actually, if they were hallucinations, it makes more sense for the story that they're telling rather than because I think that as much of this show is a show about coincidence as well, that it laughs in the eye of like, oh, that makes too much sense. So that idea that, oh, he was hallucinating, like the idea that he always knew what he needed to do, but that there was this force that helped him make that, which technically was inside of him, helped to make that, I think makes more sense for the show. And I like that. And like I said off air, like that is a much better interpretation than I ever had of like, oh, they didn't have a CGI budget. Like that as no, because it makes sense that okay, why does that moth look fine in the cave, but the moth at the end looks much worse? That idea that oh, they all are hallucinations, like is really cool, and I think that gives you another layer to the story.
I sure hope that's what it is.
And who knows? But again, like, does it matter? Like does it? Like if that's our interpretation, does it really matter what the original intention was? But if that context is there, if that language is there, then we can use that within our analysis.
Yeah, I mean, I think it increases the impact of Locke's original metaphor and his journey to get off heroin. So
yeah. Oh, and a spoiler. This isn't the end we see of Charlie dealing with heroin.
Yeah.
And, it comes back a bit. You remember season 2 with Adewale Akambe, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
I
cool.
remember parts of it.
Sweet. All right, so that was the Moth, Charlie's first flashback episode. Like I said, I think the next time we're gonna visit Sawyer, and then I'm almost positive after that is Claire, which as much as I've enjoyed Claire so far, I really remember not liking her flashbacks. So this will be cool to revisit that and see if I actually enjoy it.
Does she have the baby in that episode?
Yeah, she has a baby in that episode. I don't know, dude. I don't remember.
Spoilers, episodes ahead. Pregnant lady has baby. What do you know?
Yeah, pregnant lady has baby. Crazy. At this moment we're 5 or 6 episodes in. I'm literally just like anticipating when the others start showing up and fucking shit up.
Is there a point where you're gonna be like, God, this has been a lot of podcasting. I regret going back.
No. So I was just gonna say, like, dude, I am having a blast.
Right.
Not only revisiting these episodes, which I've said on the first couple podcasts, like, wow, these first episodes are really good. 2, just like talking, like I can't tell you. I've had this idea for a podcast for probably a year and a half.
Yeah.
And just I tried to do something similar on Portmouse, where I took a screenshot of each episode and talked about what that screenshot meant for the episode.
Oh, that's really cool.
But thanks. I actually think that was a great idea. But this kind of deep dive into the episode, being able to talk about it with good friends, has really been fucking amazing. I enjoy these. I might enjoy these more than any other podcasts we really do.
I'm having fun. The length is good.
Yeah, that's it. Just like they're easy. Some of the board game one too. As much as I love doing, typical drop the dice stuff, but like you guys don't know, like those are a lot of times 3 to 4 hour recordings. I got to cut it down to about 2. The research that goes into some of those can get intense depending on what we're doing, and sometimes honestly, like all you fucking assholes have horrible schedules, so to get more than 2 of us together at one moment seems impossible lately.
Mm-hmm.
I have been doing a lot with Alfie. I gotta put up those because we have some good stuff. We've been recapping Game of Thrones, and then after the break, we talk about the card game.
Oh, that's so cool.
So those have been pretty good, and I think those are probably gonna. I'm almost done with the first one. I think it's gonna hit 45 to an hour. A little bit longer than these ones, but those have been really fun. And like I said, I'm dying to talk to Alfie about this next episode. I'm gonna hopefully watch it again tonight. Get some finalized thoughts on it. Okay, before we end, let's talk a little bit more about Avengers because you said you watched it last time.
We hit a lot of beats in the last episode.
We did. So again, like I'll try to keep spoilers to a limit, but I want to do some broad stuff. One, did you think that the stuff with Howard was pandering?
Oh boy, that's a hard one.
I was going back and forth. I like the hug.
I think I could see it both ways. I'd like to watch that scene again.
There's a point where he says, "I have a daughter named Morgan," and I really liked that.
Yeah, it's that weird scene or that weird moment where, kind of like in Back to the Future, you're telling your parents something that they told you that's gonna then like reinforce how they raise you.
Right.
That kind of like circular reference, I don't think I like, but I also felt like it was really heartfelt that the only advice Tony could give Howard was what Howard had given him, and it made sense. And the way
Yeah,
they
like that.
delivered the line made me believe in it. But he's like, dude, the only thing I can tell you is what you told me.
Yeah, I think that movie is so much smarter than it deserves to be.
Yeah, I that line or that whole moment works only because of the delivery that's there, or it would.
The other thing I wanted to talk about is structurally, where I have problems with this last episode of Game of Thrones. I feel like Endgame surprised me at every turn. Structurally. Dude, you spend
You mean
an
like
hour. So let me talk about what I mean. You spend an hour essentially wallowing in sadness.
yeah, absolutely.
Not what I expected. I not that I thought. So I don't know if I ever thought that it was going to get fixed quickly, but I thought that
It was needed.
that scene that we have was going to happen sooner. That there's no way they would let a whole movie go by without all the heroes.
Do you think it's like somewhat of a spoiler to know that there's a Black Panther 2 coming out when Black
Of course,
Panther-
absolutely. And I was talking to another film friend I have of like how would it feel to not be me, the type of person that I am, that is on movie websites every day, that is reading everything I can about this and that because I love film and I love reading about news about film, and I know that the Marvel slate for the next 10 years is this.
But
You know?
I just think that that's a huge detail that you can pick up on. You know?
But my defense against that is that knowing that film still kept me on my toes.
It did. So you know going into it that they're gonna bring them back some way. And here's the thing that's really fun that I like about this movie is you think, well, you could just have Ant-Man do time travel. And I'm not gonna say if that happens or not, but or at least who does it, but the time travel that happens in this movie is somehow inventive and somehow makes more sense than any time travel movie I have ever seen.
I'm totally with you there because
Yeah.
I was still on my toes, being like, "Holy shit, what are they gonna do?" And then it like any time travel movie, it fucks up,
But it
and they got
lays
to
out,
think on their toes and fix it.
it lays out the rules of time travel and how they are going to subscribe to those rules in this movie
Right?
right at the start, and it is so genius. It's like no, you can't change your future.
Yeah, I
You
like
can
that.
change your past. And then all of a sudden, like my head just kind of exploded. I'm like, oh, I get it. When they change things, that's going to create different paths, and what has happened will always happen. Anyways, it makes sense when you watch it, and it's a great demonstration of how
It's
time
just
travel
so
can
like,
work in
ultimately,
movies.
it's impressive that a movie that like the stakes that were set forth we knew weren't gonna last.
Hmm.
Yet you still felt tense, you still felt worried, you still didn't know what was gonna happen.
Yeah, they
And
placed
in the end, there's still some shit that didn't come to fruition.
in the end. There is still the tenseness with a villain
Yeah.
rivals the tenseness of Infinity War, and
Oh
I
yeah.
did not think that was remotely possible.
Right. And when you have I mean, dude, like Star Lord's still there trying to find her
Yeah,
because she didn't come back. You
I'm
know,
excited. I'm excited to rewatch this 3 hour movie. And
my girl is not coming back.
yeah, that's okay with me.
No, fuck you. She's gorgeous. She's a perfect woman.
She might be, but she's not an interesting character.
No, she's the most interesting character. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
No, we're gonna have so many kids together.
What's her movie gonna be?
Her prequel, but I think we knew that before the movie.
Oh, okay.
Um,
That was an interesting. I love that choice.
that was a cool scene too. I like that.
You
I
didn't
like the
know
back
that
and
she
forth.
has. You didn't know she
I
has a solo movie, so like, she's safe.
yeah,
Not
love
only
that.
is she not safe, but she's the first to go.
Yeah, that was cool.
You should really disclaimer this whole segment with spoilers.
I probably need to like
We
do that. Like
danced around some shit.
future
And
bits
now
sure there's spoilers coming.
now
Um,
we're just,
as it is, present company isn't happy with how many spoilers we're doing.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, dude. But again, dude, I think we talked about this last episode. As of now, Marvel nails a landing and Game of Thrones doesn't.
You know what's an interesting thing about spoilers, I'll say real quick, is I think I saw something on Twitter where like a dude got beat up outside of a movie theater for spoilers.
Yeah, I saw that.
And My only thought on it is I scroll past things on Twitter all the time that are spoiling everything about Game of Thrones and every other movie. And if what you're watching has solid and engaging narrative and writing, the spoilers and the twists don't actually matter.
So I think that's actually really important because I was talking about this movie a lot at work and just with most people I know of like, I think you guys should see this as soon as possible because I don't think that this movie has twists. Like, but I think that this movie is surprising in a lot of ways, and I think you should see it and not read about the surprises. I think that the way it handles the second act is very surprising. I think the way it handles the big reveal at the end, when everything we knew was going to happen happens, is very surprising. I think that like the first hour is not what I thought that first hour was going to be. Like, it is a somber film.
So you're telling them to watch it not so that they can see the spoilers before they're told the spoilers, and therefore be caught off guard by pop culture, but so that they can experience it in, I don't know how to describe.
No. You have it right. Like I don't want you to read a review and like it's almost like everyone knew what the plot was going to be, but it's this other thing. But it still leads you to the same point. And I don't want you to read that because it's, and I don't think it lessens the film, but I think it's part of enjoying the film.
Okay.
Because I think this is again, we have never had a moment like this in cinema.
I know.
And they've managed to make the 20-second film surprising, where we thought for sure we knew what was going to happen, and that's not what they do. They managed to surprise you, and they managed to stick the landing. It's not without flaws, and it's not without its lapses in logic, but it works, and it's engaging, and it's arguably top 5 of the films that they've done out of 22.
You know what I will say is I didn't believe in this 22 film arc until Infinity War.
Sure. And they did it. They nailed it so well. Like, whatever your thoughts are, this film itself is a love letter to fans, and it's so. This is one of those films that it feels so good watching it. It feels like an event, which is what I'm missing from Star Wars.
Yeah, that's interesting. Lord of the Rings, 3 films, and it felt like an event.
Right.
Return of the King already felt like an event. And there was so much fan service, and there were 3 endings because you couldn't let it go.
Right.
And they did that in 3 films, which is surprising. 22 films, and they did the same thing. And Star Wars, all of these, and yeah, you're right. I don't feel the connection.
I don't know. No, Solo was like a blip. Solo's gonna go down in history as like BS. Like, it's nothing.
I feel the same way about the one that came out before it. What was the other spinoff?
Rogue One, which was actually a decent movie, but again, that's gonna go down in history as just a moment in time. There's no event around that. Last Jedi had some shit, but it burned a lot of bridges. As much as I love it, it was my number 1 for the year. But, dude, it disillusioned a lot of people.
But I think Last Jedi succeeded in spite of its efforts.
Yeah, fair enough. But the 2 spin-offs that they were trying to make, those were nothing. Whereas Marvel has made a million spin-offs, and I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's crazy that it pulled this off. This is great. This is like Spielberg level in the 80s and 90s filmmaking. And I'm happy I got to witness it on day 1 with the boy.
Amazing. Has he seen all 22 at this point?
You know what's funny is he has, except for First Avenger.
First Avenger is great. I love it.
The other day he was like, "Wait, there's another Captain America movie." He might. I know. I think he saw Iron Man 1. He didn't see Incredible Hulk, but whatever.
Oh yeah, well you got to show him the Ang Lee one.
Oh well, he definitely hasn't seen that. Yeah, I have that. I'll show him that.
Oh man.
All right, man. So we've gotten way off track. Just all you guys out there, go see Endgame. Make sure to watch Lost because it's fucking amazing. I hope you guys are enjoying it. This has been, I think, the Dice Station. We'll see as I request that from Apple iTunes soon. And hopefully next time we'll have Alfie with us because he is dying to jump in.
Nice.
Yeah, it'll be good. All right, man.
See ya.
Later, man.